all the best shows from your favourite fan channels on GFN Soccer TV, now streaming on Samsung TV Plus.
Oh, yes, everybody, welcome back to DR Sports. We are here just a couple of hours after the Ballon d'Or was announced, and Ousmane Dembele, I think we all agree, rightfully won the Ballon d'Or, but there's a lot of debate about that list, about who won the individual awards, who was in the top 10, who wasn't in the top 10, who wasn't in the top 30. So we're going to be going through some of the latest, the Ballon d'Or awards, who won, who lost, who's been robbed, who's been put too highly, and also talking about some of the Carabao Cup action that is back in action tonight. We've got, I think it was the round of 16 or the round of 32 Carabao Cup. There's the competition is starting to come to more of the nitty-gritty bits. You've got Premier League teams playing against Premier League teams, the business end of the season, just as Laurie, one of my guests today, says. So I'm joined by Laurie and also by Abby.
Hi.
Back on Live at 5 once again.
Hi.
So, the Ballon d'Or. So we did the stream yesterday where we covered the top 20. But then the final 10 came out later after we'd finished yesterday's stream. And yeah, there's been a lot of controversy over who the top 10 is. So just as a reminder, for those of you watching and also just for all of us, what it was 10th was PSG's Nuno Mendes. And then 9th was Gianluigi Donnarumma from Man City / PSG. 8th was Chelsea's Cole Palmer. 7th was Real Madrid's Kylian Mbappe. 6th was Achraf Hakimi, another PSG player. 5 was Rafinha from Barcelona. 4 was Mohamed Salah from Liverpool. 3 was former Wolves player and PSG kind of engine, Vitinha. 2nd was Copa winner and 2nd place Lamine Yamal from Barcelona. And 1st place was Ousmane Dembele from PSG. But there's been a lot of talk about, why was Virgil van Dijk 28th?
Crazy.
Why was Erling Haaland 26th? Why was Harry Kane 13th?
Absolutely.
Why is Vitinha 3rd when Rafinha and Salah, who you could say had better individual campaigns for their teams and pushed their teams to trophies as well, why were they not on the podium? And I think many expected at least Rafinha to be in that top 3. But just, Laurie, to get your take initially on this, what do you think about the top 10? Who's been too high? Who's too low in this?
To be honest, I'll be perfectly honest, and I alluded to this on the show yesterday. I'm not really that bothered about top 10. I'm glad they got the winner right, because I do think Dembele was a clear winner, in my opinion. A lot of the other stuff I think is a bit superfluous, if I'm being honest. I can understand why some people get triggered by it, but I personally wasn't. Although I would say I'm a bit surprised that Cole Palmer, where did he come in at?
Cole
8th.
Palmer came 8th.
And
Cole Palmer did not score a goal that wasn't a penalty from January.
Yeah,
and Harry
in the Premier
Kane
League
was 13th.
So Cole Palmer finished 17 places higher this season for 2025 Ballon d'Or than he did for 2024 Ballon d'Or, despite the fact that the season before is the season that was the crazy good one for him. Like, as you said, since the turn of the year, Cole Palmer hasn't really impressed compared to some of the other people in that top 10, even in that whole top 30 list.
I will never understand how they
really care though.
No, but honestly, I actually do care when it comes. No, I don't really care, but I care when it comes to someone like Harry Kane, who I just think is constantly disrespected. Like, what did we say it was? 41 goals in all competitions last year.
Harry Kane, yeah.
Yeah, right. This guy is like in the 90s of what he's done since going to Bayern Munich. Not only what he did year in year out in the Premier League, also what he's done for England. And like, I just think he just gets so much disrespect. How is Cole Palmer 8th? Explain the logic to me that he's 8th and Harry Kane doesn't even make the top 10, alongside the fact that you said Virgil van Dijk is what, 28th? Did you say
28th?
28th. Haaland is 26th. Like, who's voting for this? Who's doing all of that? And also on top of that, Mo Salah is not even in the top 3. Like, hello, this is absurd.
I've got a simple solution to all that.
Scrap
Next year, they should not scrap it, but only focus on the top half a dozen or the top 3.
Well, shouldn't have a whole list
Beyond
of
that,
30.
who really cares if somebody's at 28, 38, 58?
They should just do a top
80?
10.
Well, because
Should be just a top 3 and that's it.
What it is that they create the top 30, and that's the short list that
but we don't need to see that.
the players and ex-players, and journalists then vote from. So they pick from that top 30. They think they devise their own top 3.
Well, that sounds like a long list to me. Not
It is a
short
long list.
So we don't need to know the long list. I was once in recruitment and stuff for previous jobs of mine, and you have a long list. But then when you get down to the nitty-gritty of who you want to appoint, it comes down to the last half a dozen, or maybe sometimes the last 3. So, you know what? In order to avoid all this stuff, next year, let's just have the top three and that's it.
I
I'm
think-
sure everyone would
But
be
if
okay
they did the
with
top
it.
three, then someone like Salah wouldn't even be within a question
Yeah.
of it, which is outrageous as well, based on what he did last season.
Well, I mean, there's.
Do you really care who finished 28th or 18th or 19th? Or...
No, but I think
It's more the
the
principle.
list I think is mad because it's a reflection of how the football world is perceived, I guess, within, because all the people that vote for this are people within the football world, realistically, be that journalists or ex-players, etc. So if this is a reflection of how the football world see these players, but then also,
No, I'll tell you what that is.
also
That is a reflection of the vagaries of subjectivity. Meaning that if me, you and Abby was asked to give a list,
no, I know,
as
but
much
also
as we all know our
also
football,
there are some.
we could come out with some very different choices outside of the top
True,
three.
but I feel like if you were ranking it in a top 10 situation, like, I think all of our top 10s would be there or they're about the same.
yeah.
But and this is not a Premier League bias, because I do obviously think that PSG players should be within that top 10. But I just don't understand how you can have Mo Salah as 4th after the season he had, have Hakimi as 6th, was it?
Yeah.
And then you've got Cole Palmer as 8th, when you've got Harry Kane, who is 13th. You've got Haaland, okay, albeit whatever City season, but okay, Van Dijk. Why is he all the way back at the bottom of the list? I don't really understand that logic.
I think most people, though, would agree with the top two, certainly.
Yeah, Usman
It was
Dembele
between
and
those two.
Lamine Yamal. That's
Yeah, that's
fair,
fine.
Yeah.
But I think just the way I look at it sometimes is just
when
I don't
someone says
understand
to me-
people's logic, because like journalists have come out in the past and been like, oh, you see like Lewandowski, I haven't voted for him this year because, you know, as you can see on his FIFA card, he's very slow. Like, these are genuine things that people have come out who are accredited, and these people who are voted. I think there needs to be a revamp of the award itself, because as we said yesterday, it's losing its credibility, I think. Especially when, for example, Messi was given his 8th one when he spent half the season at Inter Miami because he won the World Cup the year before that. So you give him the 2023 award because he won the World Cup the year before that. Yeah, spent half the season at Inter Miami, and it was just kind of, you're just giving it to him as almost like just giving him flowers.
Well,
Here,
you
have
know what it
another
is?
one,
I'm
it's
sure there's
nice.
some kind of commercial motivation for
Well, I
giving
just
it to
think
these
it's like
guys.
a- it's-
got-
No, but this is what I mean. So it loses so much of its loses so much of its
I still
credibility.
can't get over, and I know, you know, as an Arsenal fan, I sound a bit bitter. How comes Henry was easily the best player in the world for like 3 years straight, never won a Ballon
Crazy.
d'Or? They went for Pavel Nedved over him, Cannavaro, people like that.
I mean,
Joke.
That's a joke.
I think I could barely speak at that point, so I can't
It's a joke.
really tell you.
but it is a joke
But yeah,
that
no, it is-
Thierry
this
Henry
is what I
never
mean.
won a Ballon
Yeah,
d'Or.
and for example, the one year that Lewandowski, when he was the best player in the world,
Yeah.
easily, they cancelled the award.
Yeah.
Because some leagues didn't. They were like, the French league. Obviously, he is a French paper. When the French league cancelled the rest of their season, so we're not going to give a Ballon d'Or to anyone this year.
You know what they call all that? Politics. Or, as the late, well, no, he's not late, the great Lennox Lewis said, politricks, meaning that it's all political.
Or
Yeah,
just
it's just. I
complete.
think it's just become. It's just
bollocks.
become a
And me
bit. Yeah.
personally, as I said, and this is just my thoughts, not yours or Abby's, obviously, but personally, I'm not bothered about who finished 18th, 16th, 15th, even 8th, 9th, and 10th. To me, I'm only interested in the top three. And I think they got the first two right, definitely. And really and truly, you only really. The Ballon d'Or is about the winner, really, isn't it? Not about who finished second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth.
Yeah, no, I do agree. The podium's a big thing, but then within the top 10, there was 3 Premier League players at the top 10, but 2 who actually played in the Premier League last season. Do you think that's a bit of an underrepresentation of the Premier League? Like, were only 2 of the top 10 players in the world Premier League players last season? Because Premier League is I think we all agree it's the best, hardest league in the world. Like, winning a league title in the Premier League is the hardest thing to do compared to all of the other leagues.
Currently, yes.
Yeah, and it has been for quite a while, I think. So, is that then maybe another thing of because there are so many PSG players here? Is it so European heavy? Because obviously PSG won the Champions League, and then
Yeah.
that's why all of their players like Achraf Hakimi is 6th and co, and why probably Vitinha is 3rd over someone like Salah, who didn't win the Champions League but had an incredible season in the hardest league in the world.
I guess the award is an overall achievement, isn't it, for what you have done, not just in your domestic league, but on a European stage. So I guess it's fair that there will be so many PSG players, but then maybe it's just bias that we want to see goal scorers and creative players fill up the spots. And, you know, I think Hakimi had like 108 chances created from open play. Like, that's brilliant. Like, that's among probably top 5 in Europe. But I don't think that it probably warrants being as high up on the list as close to a Salah or as close to someone else. I mean, not to disrespect Liga, but like PSG always win Liga, like bar the 1 year Pochettino was there that half season. So
trust him to be the one.
Well, it was a half season. We'll let him off. But like in general, like it's also like talking about Gyökeres, and like this is not me being salty, but we're talking about a league that is far less competitive. It's an easier league. You know, we can see that with Ruben Amorim. Like you can implement what you want in Portugal and to an extent sometimes in Liga, but it's very different when you come to the Premier League. So that
being said, though, they do produce some very good players.
They do, and obviously we go and nitpick every single people from across France in particular, actually, and they always end up coming to other European clubs. But I feel like it is an easier league to win, and it's probably fair that you do count the fact that you've done it on a European stage as well.
I think it's so heavily European focused, yeah. Because I remember so many ex-players have said this. I remember specifically Aaron Ramsey saying this ages ago, and it's maybe a little controversial, but he said that winning the Premier League is probably harder than winning the Champions League, because it's winning key Champions League knockout games here and there, especially now with the new format of it's so easy to go through and on the initial stages. No, he didn't.
So is he qualified to say that?
No, but it probably is.
You play in the competitions, and on the Premier League, you've got to be good for pretty much 38 games.
And also,
whereas in the Champions League,
every game
you
is
can sit back, do this, and hit a goal on the counter. You can't do that 38
and
games.
And also, that is probably also why. I'm not saying that it was easier to win the Champions League. Of course, it's not. It's the pinnacle, but. It's now the new format where you have got probably more competitive games rather than the groups. That's also probably why they changed it, just to make it slightly have better games, maybe slightly more competitive draws. Because sometimes you can get a group and like one team is obviously going to batter the rest of the group, aren't they? Like depending on who
Would
you got.
Would you rather win as a Spurs fan the Premier League or the Champions League?
Champions League, because you'll never ever be able to say anything to me.
You?
Me? As if I was just as a United fan.
Yeah.
You don't want Liverpool
question.
to have 21, right?
No, of course I don't. No.
It's a Prem.
Yeah, no, yeah. Like I'm thinking neutrally because we're not even in the Champions League this year. Probably the Premier League.
What gave you greater a sense of accomplishment? United winning the Champions League? Or
honestly, probably the Premier League.
Yeah.
I think I'd rather see United play the Premier League.
Fan. We've not won either. Well, we've not won the Premier League in 20 odd years. We've not won the Champions League ever.
Yeah.
But I would still rather win the Premier League.
I think I'd rather see United win the Premier League.
Yeah.
Because also because I know to get to the point where you do win the Premier League means a lot more than the points, because you can fluke a Champions League.
And not only that, we've all agreed.
It's a lot harder.
I watched my team fluke getting to a final of it. So yeah.
We've all agreed that the Premier League is the hardest league, or
it's the hardest competition.
Hardest competition, the best league in Europe by continent.
Yeah, I think
So
by
to win
distance
that,
as well. I think
be champions. To me, I'd rather win the Premier League.
Yeah, I agree. I think I would rather see United win the Premier League than the Champions League, because I think if we win the Premier League, it would mean that we're at a point where we're sustainable, that we can win, we can be good 30 games season. I can't even see it. We've not even won 2 games in a row.
True.
In the last 10
in all honesty, I would take either, but I think
of course this is
I think from getting to a Champions League final and probably the gravitas of that situation and being there, and obviously it was over in 23 seconds, but I think I would still rather have that, because that is a once in a lifetime opportunity. I don't think I'll ever see my team get to a Champions League final ever again. Not that I think we'll ever win the Premier League either, but there's probably more of a chance of Spurs getting to a position where they could compete and potentially win a Premier League than they ever would in a Champions League.
Yeah, I mean, Guy here says you can't fluke a Champions League, and then there's a couple of expletives after that. But what I'm saying is that in the Champions League, there's a chance that you could get an easy side of the draw.
Yeah.
Where, so for example, like Europa League last season, our run was a lot harder than yours was. Your side of the run was we were playing Spanish teams and you weren't. You were playing teams that I'd say were easier than ours, and you can get that. You can get that in European competition.
Yeah.
You can get a team where you get lucky because Real Madrid lose to some other team over here, meaning you don't play them. Whereas in the Premier League, everyone plays everyone else.
Yeah.
So you can't really fluke that, so to speak. There are things.
There's
that
a little
can
bit of that
turn
when
the tide
Chelsea
in your
won the
favour
Club
very
World
easily.
Championship, didn't
Yeah,
they?
the Club World Cup this year. That's what I mean.
got their,
knockout competitions are easier to win the league competitions.
Because no one's going to tell me that Chelsea are a better team than PSG last season.
No
one.
Absolutely not.
But yet they won that final and they beat PSG comfortably.
Means nothing. Who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares?
But back to the Ballon d'Or rankings. I'll read out some of the other people that won the other awards. You've got the Copper Trophy. Men's one was won by Lamine Yamal of Barcelona, and then the Women's Copper Trophy was won by Vicky Lopez, also of Barcelona, which may be a result of the Barcelona. Obviously, a few years ago, obviously financial ruin, still aren't great financially, but that forced them to play loads of academy players. It's something that Fabregas has been saying the last couple of years, and so Barcelona have been forced to play all their academy players, so all their academy players have had senior football since they were 16, 17, 18 years old, so now they've just got loads and loads and loads of really good academy players, which I think they've benefited, I think, big time Arsenal, and why they've got these young players like winning Copper Trophy in both men's and women's, and players like Yamal. They've been able to develop these players because they haven't brought in other players to block their paths, and also just had the right managers and stuff.
Just like in the Premier League, sometimes you see managers, they're forced to play people through injuries.
Yeah. Well, think of Chelsea.
Turns out to be
when Chelsea had their transfer ban. I mean, like Mason Mount, Reece James, Tammy Abrahams are all coming out, and even Conor Gallagher as well. Well, they had to be played, and they were all fantastic. And it meant either Chelsea sold them for a load of money, or produced players such as Reece James, who's now their club captain. Yeah, it's sometimes a massive benefit.
It is.
And I think Barcelona, it is just a hint of showing that. Yeah, it can work. But then you got the best manager was won by Serena Wiegman, for obviously winning the Euros with England. I think that's, yeah, rightly
she
so.
She did really well with that, because I can remember before the tournament started, there's a lot of people.
There's a lot of noise.
Well, they didn't start brilliantly either, England. So it was, but look, she's been unbelievable.
It was a very
and let's be honest, she won a back-to-back.
Yeah.
Which is mad.
And sandwiched in between that, getting them to another final. So
yeah.
And she knows Burna Boy's lyrics, so
Exactly.
Massive fan.
I mean,
what a moment.
And then
she had to win it after
and then
that.
men's winner was Luis Enrique. I don't think there's any arguing with that one. Then Yashin Trophy, women was Hannah Hampton, obviously with her whole storyline and saving the penalties in the final and everything. That was awesome just to watch.
And then
men's was Donnarumma. Which again, I don't think you can really argue that in terms of
David Ryan might have.
Give it up, man.
Donnarumma. I agree with Donnarumma.
Club of the Year, Arsenal won the women's. I don't know why I gestured to you towards that one because you're a Spurs fan. Arsenal won the women's, and then and then PSG won the men's, which is fair. And then Ballon d'Or, obviously, Ousmane Dembele won, and Aitana Bonmati, if I got that right.
Yep.
Bonmati won.
There was some controversy over that one.
But there is Kenya.
Arsenal did Arsenal win the league?
Champions League.
Oh yeah, of course they did.
They won the Champions League.
I was going to say they didn't win the
league. And then a lot of people are
Chelsea
saying that Russo should have won the Ballon d'Or instead. She came third. In the end, Russo did. But again, it might just be, it shows how subjective it is.
I've got to put my cards on the table. I don't know enough about I do watch the women's game, but not week in, week out like that.
Every time I did watch Arsenal play was maybe 4 or 5 times throughout the season, because I've got some friends who are Arsenal female fans, and Russo did look amazing, and I know how good she is from when she was at United as well. So I can see why, but again, I didn't.
Bob Martin's supposed to be the Messi of women's football. Right?
Yeah, she's
won her third in a row as well.
Yeah.
So. It's a hat trick, very much.
Mariana
like
Caldente is a solid number 2 though.
Yeah, and then the final thing I wanted to ask, just to finish touching on the Ballon d'Or, is the Gerd Muller Award.
Your time, mate.
Yeah, very much before my time. The Gerd Muller Award, which is given to the trophy is described as given to the best striker in the world. Then the condition of that is just who scored the most goals that season.
So it's very binary.
Yeah, and so Victor Gyökeres has won it this season, but I want to pose the question of, considering that every other award, including the Ballon d'Or and everything, is a lot more subjective. Like, you look at the criteria for the Ballon d'Or voting, and it's to do with on-pitch performance, off-field brands, charitable works, team success, all this,
how you dress, how you look,
and then brand and everything. And so to then have the striker award as just simply who scored the most goals, is it fair to have that binary? When potentially Victor Gyökeres, you could argue, wasn't the best striker in the world last season. When you see the way that Haaland played, maybe not so much Haaland, but Isak, for example, winning a trophy against Liverpool, the league winners, scoring 26 goals in the league despite playing for a team such as Newcastle, who weren't fighting for the league title.
You know what? I think it's quite.
I wouldn't say that Victor Gyökeres was the standout best striker in the world last season, because you also had Lewandowski doing well. You had Harry Kane smashing it as well. But Victor Gyökeres, according to this, because he scored the most goals, he was therefore the best.
Right, so I do agree with the award being framed like that.
Of course you do. Imagine my shock.
Hear me out, because it's quite refreshing actually to have a binary criteria where you can just say, right, forget, because it cuts out the political issues, doesn't it? who did this, who plays for what, who knows this, who knows that, who looks good, who doesn't. All about the goals. And I would say as well that it's a reflection of that whole Gerd, because if you ever watch Gerd Müller play, that's all he did. He didn't do anything else. There's no tracking back, no working from outside the box, no hold-up play. He was known as a man, bang, goal, boom. And he was very successful at it. So the mere fact that they call it the Gerd Müller Award tells you what the award is all about. So if we follow that to its logical extension, Gyökeres scored the most goals, he wins the award, and I think that's quite refreshing.
Yeah, look, you can't really argue with that. What am I looking at here? 54 goals in 52 appearances for Sporting. That is an insane return. I don't think that necessarily means that he's the best striker in the world.
No.
But I guess what you're getting on your return is very, very good. So, fine. I don't care about it.
Yeah,
he's not gonna recreate that, so it's fine.
Personally, I find it a bit weird that all of the other awards are very subjective, and then this one is so black and white.
So don't you find that
I think some of the ones are too objective, and this one is too binary.
No,
because I think
this is just factual.
You have to take into account achievement, and for example, potentially maybe because the Ballon d'Or, another thing is decisive moments. Gyökeres' 52 goals last season, I believe. Again, I know I'm not bashing him for this, but 19 of them were penalties, which you have to score the penalties. And as someone who loves Bruno Fernandes, I'm well aware.
19 of Gyökeres' were penalties.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. That's very, very interesting that you mentioned that. No, I just simply.
Harry Kane doesn't like
it. It
that.
actually wasn't even going to be about Harry Kane. It was actually going to be more about Lewandowski. That I think he had the most across Europe that were non-penalty goals.
Yeah.
I think it was 24. So then, look, at the end of the day, you've got to convert your penalty, haven't you? But if 19 is a chunky number, it's chunky.
It is, but you got to score them.
Yeah, you do have to score them. I don't deny that at all. I just personally, I just find it a bit.
I think
weird
it's actually
that it's
quite
so
refreshing
binary.
that they've got an award that you can just say, right, it's all about, there's no other criteria other than what it is. And let's be honest, that is what a striker is.
Why not then just say...
I keep having this argument with people, right, when they talk about strikers and that, and I've heard the same thing said about Salah, I've heard the same thing said about Harry Kane, about Aubameyang, about Gyökeres, a whole list of strikers. You're there to put the ball in the back of the net. When they go for, so for example, when we give the Golden Boot award at the end of this season, there'll be no discussion as to how many penalties.
True.
Yeah, but like it's because the definition of the award is the striker who scored the most goals.
Yeah.
I feel like the definition of the award being like this award is given to the best striker this which season.
No, but that's too subjective. Just have it about who scored the most goals. But then,
so why not just have the trophy as saying, all right, this trophy goes to the one who scored the most goals? Because they've crowned Gyökeres as the best striker last season.
Well,
no striker in the world was better than Victor Gyökeres last season.
But technically, they're not wrong. They are wrong.
I just find the trophy a bit weird.
It's essentially a golden boot.
Yeah.
That's essentially what it is.
Then why not call it that?
Because they want to call it the Gerd Müller Trophy. But it's essentially
more glamour.
Yeah, it's the Gerd Müller Trophy.
The best striker in the world and calling it the golden boot.
But of course, everybody knows he's not the best striker in the world.
This is
but
what
his numbers
they
are the best.
I personally think they're two different things.
No, but
not
you want
always.
to complicate things.
I don't want to complicate things. I just feel like the best striker in the world isn't necessarily always the one who scored the most goals.
Well, I'll be honest with you.
Games.
I'll be honest with you, Dylan. To me, the best striker in the Premier League is the one that scores the most goals. I'm not interested in how good you are at step overs, this, that, and the other. How many goals did you get? 25. How many goals did you get?
Yeah.
23. Right, this man with a 25, he's the best striker.
That award I don't really have a problem with, because that is a factual thing.
Yeah, no, neither do I.
Just like with goalkeepers.
I'm going to say that I don't
Just like
anymore.
with goalkeepers, who kept the most clean sheets?
Golden
You
Ball.
did? Right, you're the best. Right, Raya last season. Best keeper, most clean sheets. Boom, done, over.
I agree with that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I think we've all had enough. I think the Ballon d'Or's good. It's been and gone. I think it's
been and gone.
Thank God for that as well.
Yeah, and it's over. All the rush and everything is over.
Too much conjecture over it.
But tonight there is some cracking action. Cracking action. You got the EFL Cup. The Carabao Cup is back, and there's
one glamour competition.
There's 8 games left. So round of 16, 8 games left. We've got the 8 games. I'll just read them out to you now. You got Barnsley versus Brighton. Burnley versus Cardiff, Fulham versus Cambridge, Lincoln versus Chelsea, Wigan versus Wickham, Wolves versus Everton, Wrexham versus Reading, and Liverpool versus Southampton. All kicking off at the same time, apart from the Liverpool game, which is kicking off 15 minutes later. But all kicking off...
What's the tie at around, you reckon?
of this particular set of fixtures.
I
It'll be
mean,
Wigan versus Worthing.
no,
Wigan versus Wycombe.
Right.
I mean, the thing is that there are a couple possibilities.
I quite like
some
Fulham.
time
I
killings
quite like
here.
Fulham, Cambridge.
There are some possibilities. For example, Enzo Maresca has been pretty anti this fixture against Wycombe. Sorry, against Lincoln, and they are going up to the northeast to Lincoln to play after having to travel to play
Yeah.
United and also
Chelsea.
travelling to play Bayern Munich. So
Well,
I
you're
mean,
going to see it
there
completely
could-
rotated.
There could I can see him rotating, and obviously Chelsea had a bad game against Bayern, an even worse game against United. There's
Yeah.
definitely the possibility. I think if I was to earmark a game for a shock result, I'd be going for that one.
Yeah.
Well, I hope it is. given
I
that
hope it
I've got
is,
a £250 bet with Matisse.
Have
Shout
you?
out to Matisse. Remember, we had that bet about who would win a trophy first.
Oh
Arsenal
yeah,
or Chelsea.
yeah, but that's so this is just one
I
conversation.
know, but if they're out and we go on to win it, that's job done. isn't
Yeah,
it?
if you went on to win something,
we-
that
if
is.
we go on to win it, yeah.
You'll probably just finish second. But the Fulham Cambridge one I like because that's League Two.
Yeah.
I like that. League Two coming to Premier League club. I'll be watching that one.
I think that's good fun, yeah. And also with Liverpool Southampton, Slot said that he's going to be resting a load of his big boys.
Yeah.
But obviously, it's at Anfield, and Liverpool are still fantastic. But I might end up saying this for probably about the 7th time in the last 5 weeks. Is this finally the game for Wirtz to do something?
Well, I would expect him to start tonight. That's for sure.
Do you reckon?
Yeah, I would think that he would be getting some game time
Yeah,
tonight.
you need some confidence.
Yeah, we were talking about it yesterday on the show, and just me and AGT and Doyle were talking in the morning, and it's like he just needs to bulk a little bit, like have some protein. Like I think he doesn't realise
Oh,
probably.
you think he's lightweight?
Well, yeah, just a little bit, but like not in a bad way. Just like I think when you come into the Premier League, like sometimes players don't understand the physicality of it, and that brings, and some will adapt more than others. Like we were comparing it to Hugo Ekitike, like how he is kind of taken to the Premier League very naturally, whereas Florian Wirtz looks a little bit light on the ball, can get bodied quite a lot off of the ball. So what better way than to throw him in a Carabao Cup fixture, although it is at home and it is Southampton, but I think
No, I hear
that is
that.
probably the
I hear that.
focus for him in terms of just understanding the Premier League and just bulking a little bit.
We had a similar discussion on AFTV when we spoke about our game, and I was making the case for Gyökeres starting our game against Port Vale tomorrow, because I said he needs a goal, even though he's got a couple goals, but his confidence is still not fully there yet. Playing the Carabao Cup, get a couple of goals, hopefully we could take him off, and then he's ready to go again at the weekend, because he does need a couple of goals, much like Wirtz needs a goal and a performance.
Needs minutes.
Yeah.
And if it comes against Southampton and he gets a few goals tonight, then that's huge.
Yeah,
for
job
him,
done.
Isn't it?
Same
Yeah.
for Isak, by the way. I think he should play.
I think Isak will start as well.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
Isak
it's
will start.
it's an interesting debate, the Isak Ekitike one at the moment, because Ekitike, obviously everyone's expecting, you make your ideal Liverpool starting 11 and Isak's up front there. But Ekitike at the moment, Isak played in the Champions League, then he came off, and then Ekitike came back, and then he scored against Everton. He scored the Merseyside derby.
I don't get the impression that Isak is fully ready
Yes,
to go.
but almost on merit, should Ekitike still be starting?
Yeah, but you're not
if
going to not play your 100 and what did they pay for him in the end?
125.
Unless
130
you're
million.
someone like Mikel Arteta, who's prepared to
Of
leave your
course.
marquee signings on the bench.
Of course.
Which
but,
you know what I mean? But that's a
that's
story
your
for
own
another
problem.
day.
I think Ekitike, I really like Ekitike because he was so heavily linked with us, with United, before he ended up going to Liverpool, because he's a United fan, grew up, everything,
Yeah.
blah, 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 and it was like throwing the boat between like him and a couple other strikers. But eventually I think he went to Liverpool before we could commit to assigning him. I think if we committed earlier, we probably
I don't
would have
think he
signed
would have
him
gone
over
to you.
Šeško. Well, because earlier in the summer that was the conversation, and then by the time that we actually got
your
ourselves to
finger
the table, he committed to Liverpool
wouldn't
and he
have signed.
rejected us.
He wouldn't
But I
have
think it could have been a different story had we, moved for him.
He may
a
have been
month
he
earlier.
may have been a United fan, but he's also a very sensible young man.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah,
He's been advised by his
saying-
agents, and they said that's a basket case of a club.
Don't go.
If
I'm
anything, you
not,
can
I'm
go
not
there
saying
later.
I'm not saying he was guaranteed.
You go
But
there
all I'm
later.
saying is that I was therefore doing a lot of research into him and watching some clips of him and games of him, and I always thought he's fantastic. And obviously he went for whatever it was, 70
Yeah.
million quid, which is no small amount fee at all. That was more than Gyökeres, for example, and I think he went for around about the same amount that Šeško went for. And oh, you're not FJ. You're not going to start doing this, are you? Surely you're
Did he
better
say
than
Šeško?
that. Huh?
Did he sign?
No. Oh no, you said who?
Yeah, did he sign for United then? Has he played? Has he
Sheshko?
scored?
No, he's not scored a goal yet. He keeps getting hooked. He's played like
people
one
are talking about
90 minute game.
Gyökeres. But
played like one
Šeško,
90-minute
I mean,
game.
come on, bro. What, has he even touched the ball yet in this?
No, we're yet to cross to him. It's crazy. We're yet.
No,
to,
I'm being
we're yet to
churlish.
actually-
I'm
no,
being
no,
churlish.
but you do have a point. We're yet to actually put anything on his head. He's a 6'5" striker with a leap the size of a giraffe. Well, giraffes can't even jump. A big leap, and we can't cross the ball to him, which I find is mad. But that's a whole
think
separate
Kangaroo
story.
is the one, you know.
Yeah, it's a whole separate story. But I do think that Ekitike should be starting for Liverpool on merit anyway at the moment.
Over Isak.
Because he's scoring. If your striker's scoring,
Yeah,
you
but
don't
it's
then
not
just
as
go,
binary
"I'll
as
bench
that."
him."
And we
I
use
know,
that word
but
binary again.
if you truly do think that your strikers, your two players, because Slot's got.
Okay, so what you're saying is, I understand what you're saying.
If Ekitike's scoring,
I understand.
and each time he does play,
what you're
and starts
saying,
to
there should be a
score.
meritocracy. If you get the shirt and you perform, you should keep the shirt. People saying that also about Mosquera and Saliba. They're saying Saliba was out, Mosquera came in, he's excelled, he should keep the shirt. However, whilst I agree with the whole concept of meritocracy, you also have to pay homage to the fact that when a player is elite, like Isak has proved himself to be, and like Abby quite rightly said, you paid all that money for him, it does seem a little odd to leave him on the bench. Ekitike came to Liverpool knowing that he was the second choice. Or once Isak was about to be signed, I'm pretty sure he would know deep down that he's relegated to second string,
Second
second
fiddle.
choice. So
Well, it's a nice option. It's a nice
option.
option, obviously, for Liverpool to have, because it means that you've got so much depth, first of all. But I don't know if there is a way that you can fit Ekitike and you can fit Isak into the same team as well, and Verts.
Yeah, because Slot has said he won't be playing Ekitike at left wing as well. So Gakpo's just going to be benching everything. But also, Verts actually looked quite good when he was playing on the left wing last week. I think it actually looked all right. It is a weird situation Liverpool have got. Because
I don't think you should. I think
as well,
drop
it's like,
Ekitike.
it's the players who you would have thought would naturally come out for the big signings once they're fit have actually been the ones who are playing well, and then some of the big signings are the ones who haven't been playing well.
Yeah.
So, but then the same case, like, do you keep playing Verts no matter what because he was so good in the Bundesliga and he cost
slightly
116
different.
million?
It depends if there's competition for a place, though, isn't it? Verts is getting away with it to a degree because there's less competition than there is Ekitike versus Isak, or vice versa. Who would be?
Yeah, no, I agree.
Who would?
Because who else?
I made the comparison with Mosquera and Saliba. It's very similar. Mosquera came in while Saliba was injured.
Yeah,
He was
no,
outstanding.
I do hear it. I just feel like
Nowadays,
Ekitike.
some Arsenal fans
I
saying
don't
actually.
think they drop Ekitike.
I think Ekitike could be. Like, I think he deserves to keep playing for now, at least until he doesn't score a goal. Because if he keeps scoring goals,
So how long do you leave Isak on the bench for? Your 130 odd million record signing, a man that has done it in the Premier League.
I just feel at least until Ekitike, well, I don't want to say deserves to be dropped, but like kind of maybe has a bit of a dip. Like say he plays a game, I don't know who Liverpool are playing the next few games. Let's say he plays a game where he misses a couple big chances, doesn't score. But when you're coming off the back of scoring in a Merseyside derby, which really what was the winning goal in the end, I feel like there could be just a bit of a delay until we see Isak as the starting number 9, because Ekitike is putting up, I think, much more of a fight for the position than maybe a lot of people would have thought.
Agreed.
About. Yeah.
You know what I would say though? That is a nice problem for the manager.
It's a great
to
problem
have.
to
I mean,
have.
also there is this argument. Again, we spoke about it yesterday, that obviously football was going quite into a 4-4-2 style. I know that's not traditionally what Liverpool do, but also Liverpool hadn't had 10 since Coutinho, and now they've got the option to have a 10 as well. So I don't know. It's a nice problem for Arne Slot and Liverpool to have, but that's what your variations are there for. That's what you've got.
And not only that,
formations for.
it is a squad game. There are
They've got lots of
number of
games.
different competitions, number of games.
Absolutely.
So again, it's a great problem for the manager to have.
KC2K16 has brought it back to your Thierry Henry point. He's talking about the
What's that?
2003 season. Explain to me how Thierry Henry should have won the Ballon d'Or in 2003 when Van Nistelrooy outscored him in the FA Cup, Premier League and Champions League and won the league that year.
It's very simple, because at that time Thierry Henry was without doubt the best player in the world. Messi doesn't always score the most amount of goals, neither did Ronaldo. But there
Where
were
was
times when
Henry
they
playing at
won.
that point? Was he a winger?
He was an attacker. He could play wing or through the middle. But it was unmistakable that, and I'm sure Abby, ardent Tottenham fan
I'll
as
never
she
disagree.
is, you Anyone that see, he was at that time, 2003. He was without doubt the best player in the world. How he didn't win a Ballon d'Or and how he was overlooked by, no disrespect, by players like Nedved and Cannavaro is just ridiculous.
But then that does bring us back to our argument before of isn't the striker's job and their
No, but he wasn't just a striker.
But do you think
But
that's
Henry,
also?
but Van Nistelrooy was.
Do you think that's also because that you didn't win anything European while he
Could
was there?
possibly have been, I guess, but even so.
I mean, look, I think it's criminal.
If you could show me a person that genuinely thought that Nedved is a better player than Henry, I
don't disagree. Henry, based on everything I've read and heard and seen, Henry should have won at least one of a Ballon d'Or in that 3-year stretch.
Yeah.
But I do kind of get KC2, K16's point, because we've been talking about how if a striker's...
No, but that was because the award was who was the best striker. The Ballon d'Or's about who's the best player. That's different. That's why I said that having it such a binary thing is good, because you've got a category there where you can allow for that. You've got a category there that says, right, who's got the most goals, right, you're the best striker. But Ballon d'Or is supposed to be about who's the best player in the world. And what I'm saying, with respect to your contributor there, is at that time, 2003, there is no doubt in my mind, personally, and Abby's alluded to it, that Henry was without doubt at that time the best player in the world. And how he never won a Ballon d'Or between 2003 and 6 is utterly ridiculous.
It's a disgrace.
It is, absolutely.
But heading back to the Carabao Cup, tonight's action, another game that I've just been thinking about here, we've got Wolverhampton Wanderers against Everton. And I don't want to sound a bit too dramatic here, but could this be one of the quickest games after a new contract for a manager that they immediately got their job potentially on the line, or at least with the fans? Because you got Vitor Pereira, as we explained the other day, has signed a new contract, 3-year deal with Spurs. Sorry, not Spurs. Wolverhampton Wanderers. That would be random.
That would be terrible.
Signed a 3-year deal with Wolverhampton Wanderers, and they've lost 5 games on the bounce. They've conceded 12 goals and scored just 3 so far. They got battered by Leeds at home, 3-1 in the Premier League on the weekend, but they're now hosting Everton at home, who may decide to rest a bit. But is Vitor Pereira here tonight going to have to potentially go strong, go almost full strength, to at least do something?
Absolutely,
because it's the Carabao Cup. Obviously they are through, and they can't have got through if they hadn't won their previous game in the Carabao Cup. But yeah, is it a weird situation if he's got a 3-year contract, but then immediately if they don't win this game, they're out of the competition? The fans are going to just be going, no, cancel it, get out.
I think the fans are already doing that, to be honest with you. And it's quite interesting because you have a look at who's available in the manager market. Obviously West Ham are going to probably be sacking Graham Potter very, very soon as well.
He's all but sacked.
Would Wolves take a risk and then bring Nuno back?
Maybe. I mean, their other game in the AFL Cup round 2 in the second round was a 3-2 win over West Ham at home, and that has been their only win of the season. It was kind of ironically against a Premier League team. If I was Wolves, I mean, look, I understand why they gave him a contract because of what he kind of pulled, what he did pull them out of last year, I guess. But it still wasn't happy families. It still wasn't a good place to be. And like there was that little spell of time where they perked up, and then it kind of like nosedived a little bit again. But I wouldn't have probably given him a 3-year contract. I don't think there's any excuse for Wolves to not go full strength tonight. Like. They also they've got to. Like, I just find the timing of the contract weird. Like, what you can do is maybe agree that in principle, and then maybe just wait a bit.
Yeah, but it was at the back of last season, and he kept them in the Premier League, and he led them to have a better.
Yeah, but why not do that
season.
in the summer then? Like, if it's based off that him keeping them up last season, why not give him the new 3-year deal in the summer?
I don't know.
Instead of 3 games on the back. It's
a weird decision. I mean, we alluded. We did the show last week, didn't we? And we said last Friday, I think it was, that I couldn't understand how he'd been given a deal off the back of what he'd done so far. I mean, they say that managers are 3 defeats away from the sack. Well, he's had 5 already.
Yeah.
And
also,
weird.
I think.
But I was thinking about Nuno. You mentioned Nuno, Abby. If you're Nuno, you must be quite nice at the moment. He's sitting back thinking.
Nuno's stock is well up.
Yeah,
right.
and not only that, he's got
big time.
When you consider like what happened in terms of him leaving Wolves, and then obviously his time at Tottenham, short and not so sweet. Like he's really done himself a solid with what happened at Forest. So if I was Wolves, I know they've obviously just given him this contract and they might stick with him, but West Ham are going to... Nuno will probably be at West Ham. I don't see why they would overlook like that would be a good appointment for West Ham. So if I was Wolves, I'd be saying maybe I'd like to have Nuno back. That is someone that could steady the ship, knows the club very well. I know it's different type of players to he was there last time, but I think that would maybe also get the fans on side a little bit as well, because it's just been a bit of a mess at Wolves. I mean...
But if you're Nuno, right, you're sitting back thinking there is a possibility in the coming months of him being linked with any one of 4 jobs. The Wolves job, West Ham, Villa maybe United. There's 4 jobs there. There's 4 jobs there that could be up for grabs.
Why would you not have him at United?
I see.
Beggars really can't be choosers.
I do understand that, but I see him in the same vein as I see Emery. Maybe less so Emery, but I feel like they have a very clear ceiling. Those kind of managers, I think they work best when they're slightly more backs against the wall in terms of, right, I've got to like raise the floor of these players because I don't have like the unlimited resources available to me. Like we saw at Arsenal with Emery, when he did have more leeway to go further and further up, he hit a point where it just got, he couldn't quite make the jump. And I'm not saying in comparison, Amrim is someone who can make that jump. But what I'm saying is I at least would want to bring in a manager who can make that jump. And I don't think either of those players...
I think the knock on Nuno is he's known for a very, what we might call, pragmatic style of football. Now, that doesn't always lend itself to certain clubs. Like I can imagine, for example, at Man United...
It wouldn't work.
It wouldn't work.
It really wouldn't
It's
work.
also not glamorous enough for Manchester United. You want the drip.
But
at United, we want realistically what we want is people like a direct, fast, good style of play. That's the United's overall what they've done for the years and years.
And that's
and years
not
and
Nuno.
years across
Nuno
that's
is
not Nuno at all, and it's not Amorim. This is the problem with Ruben Amorim as well, is that it's not direct. He's got too many people who are too wide. You've got the circle of 8 players, then 2 in the middle. How are you meant to go bang when all your players are around there? You've got to go round, which takes longer. Going around always takes longer.
I think it would be a good fit for West Ham, and I say that even though there would be a certain section of the West Ham fan base, they say, the West Ham way. Whatever way that is, I know that's not Nuno's way, because Nuno he's a bona fide pragmatic style of football.
You've got managers,
and that's why they got rid of him at Wolves as well. If you remember towards the end of his tenure at Wolves, I would constantly hear people ring up and say, the football's terrible, we've got to get rid of this guy.
It's what I mean, is why I feel like he's not someone who can then take the leap the next step. You got the different types of managers are better at different types of things. For example, I wouldn't necessarily back some of the best managers in the world in, like, if you put Luis Enrique with 10 games to go in a relegation battle, I wouldn't necessarily back him, because it's not what he's good at. He's good at raising the ceilings of clubs up to the highest they can be, like you've seen at PSG. And then you've got other managers. You've obviously got people like Tony Pulis and Sam Allardyce, Sean Dyche, all these managers who are good at just lifting the floor of the club to keep them floating. And I see Nuno around there. Emery, I think, somewhere more in the middle, because he's got Aston Villa back up to fighting for Champions League places. Obviously, they just missed out on the last day last season. But I don't see either of them as being the kind of manager who would be able to go to that point at United and then go up another level.
True, but if you're West Ham or Wolves, your situation is so desperate. You want somebody to come in that's experienced, knows his way around the Premier League, can steady the ship and get you out of trouble. No, but I would say that Nuno is probably better at that at this moment in time than Sean Dyche is.
Sean Dyche is just an option.
Would he go back to Wolves? Probably not, because they say never go back. But I could see him going to West Ham.
Well, I mean, you say never go back, but it's actually worked for some managers. Specifically, it's worked for David Moyes across 2.
And there is a strong Portuguese connection at Wolves.
Is it as strong as it used to be? There's not as many Portuguese players as there.
It
now.
was quite ridiculous at one
It
point.
was because it was just Nuno,
It was.
not Mendes, Jorge Mendes,
Yeah.
just sending all of his
players
like
in.
kind of like slightly second tier clients, not necessarily like the Ronaldos and co, but the ones who were like there else,
Yeah.
just going, I've got a Premier League club for you, go play in the Premier League,
Just
play
go
in the
to
Premier
Wolves.
League. Yeah, just
Off
go
you
to
go.
Wolves.
And then
it didn't always work. Because you got Vitinha wasn't great at Wolves,
No.
and he's now finishing on the podium of the Ballon d'Or.
And
Like,
rightly so. Unbelievable season.
yeah, crazy. What do you
Crazy.
guys? I'm curious to know. Just because we were just talking about United there. What do you see this season actually panning out for United? Is it actually just going to be another dire season, or is there a way back? Is there a route?
I think you are finishing where you are now, mid-table.
We're 11th at the moment.
Yeah, I think you're around 9, 10, 11. I can't see you finishing much higher than that.
Look, it's not been despite everything, okay, it's not actually been the worst start for Manchester United.
No.
It actually hasn't on paper. You're 3 points off of Arsenal and Spurs.
Yeah, and we
Bournemouth.
had, allegedly, I didn't even realise this, statistically, we had the hardest start out of all Premier League
Yeah,
teams.
I'm not going to cry for you lot though, but
No, that's fair.
I just
We played terribly.
I would be surprised if Ruben Amorim was there at the end of the season. Part of me would be surprised if Ruben Amorim is still there at Christmas. I think it depends on the level of the performances. So even though you've got your win against Burnley and you've got your win against Chelsea, whatever, it's still the level of performance and what you're seeing. Is there progress? My thing with Manchester United is, are we fickle in the sense that you need to give him more time and more money and more windows? Because United is... Let's be honest, it's needed a full-blown clear-out, and there are still lots of elements of Manchester United, whether that is in your midfield or can you better your defence. Obviously,
Well, according to Luke Shaw, they got rid of all the stragglers.
Yeah, which is a mad quote from him.
it's a mad quote to say. It's mad considering he's literally most of the time injured. For
Yeah, he wasn't
large
wrong in what he
parts.
said in that we had got
Just-
rid of stragglers,
No, but
but
just-
not all of them.
Just sometimes you don't need to say that.
Yeah.
But I just think there's still elements of Manchester United that need to be improved. It's just deciding whether or not you're going to trust Ruben Amorim to invest that money in what he wants to do and commit to that project, because the style of football that he wants to play, I don't think any of you like.
No.
But you did know that when he rocked up with the puffer jacket and the Dior, and that was fine, and the hair gel. Now it's not going so good. Now we're not about the drip. I don't know whether or not as a long-term project, because you'd need to give him January and another summer window to probably rectify and get what he wants to get in.
Yeah.
And then that means you then have to stick with what he wants to stick with, which means for a longer period of time, you're
it
not going
can
to watch
still be
anything that you
going
like,
badly.
and it can still be going badly, and then you're stuck with players that fit that system that you're not going to be able to shift, because realistically the whole accumulation of all this stragglers and a lot of the dead wood that you've had is because you've had so many managerial changes over the last 10 years that you haven't been able
and I think
to shift
particularly
players.
the last manager in Erik ten Hag was we went way too specific with the players that he wanted.
But Ruben
and
Amorim is a
everything.
very specific type of
But
manager.
and the thing is, I'd say the thing against that what we've got with Amorim now is at least the players we've bought, I wholeheartedly think at least most of them were players that other managers would like and want
Of course,
anyway.
someone like an
Whereas,
Mbeumo or a
when you
Cunha, like,
got
of course.
Mbeumo and Cunha and even Šeško, for example, in terms of bringing in like a young striker with a lot of potential, and some of the players we've got rid of and some of the players that we've kept, I do actually think, like when we kept Bruno Fernandes, that's not a controversial decision.
No, but Bruno Fernandes probably still will go to Saudi next summer.
I think he might. Yeah.
I don't think
depends what happens this season.
I
but
don't think
he
that
might.
you like. I personally don't think that Manchester United and Manchester United fans should be saying that Bruno is going to be here for a longer period of time. I think that this is again a little bit of a transitional season for Manchester United anyway, with Amorim's first full season in charge. I would be surprised again if Bruno Fernandes was there next
Yeah, I don't
season.
think he'll stick around.
No.
Yeah, I did say I had a sneaky suspicion that we convinced him to stay this year by saying we wouldn't stand in his way next year.
Yes.
Like, be here this year, and then we've now created this leadership group, for example, that's Bruno and 5 others. So is
Yeah.
it like, are we just kind of basically, Bruno's got 5 interns
Yeah.
to take
It'd
over
be
the job
mutually
next year?
beneficial, by the way. He needs to move away. Man United need to move on from him.
I
They need a
don't
whole-
think we need to move on from him, but
I
I
think
think
you do.
there
How
are
old is Bruno
benefits.
Fernandes now?
31.
31. I think.
Not exactly, and he's not slowing down.
Of course
by it
not. I
at
mean,
all.
what is it? 100 goals in 200 appearances or something?
He's got 100 goals in 100 goals and 86 assists in 290
I mean, look, he's a phenomenal player. Like, he is very, very good. I think when you're at Manchester United, you always get tarred with this kind of brush, like, you know, when he throws his arms up in the air and things like that. But you are at the biggest club in the world, and you are constantly spoken about. And when things don't go wrong, you are used as a scapegoat. We've seen that time and time again. Look at Marcus Rashford for an example as well. I think that the problem is with the Bruno thing is that when you needed to build a team around Bruno, and he should have been the focal point when you signed him, which was what, 2020. God, time flies. Like at that point, that's when you build the team around him and build it out, and he's your focal point. I don't feel like that ever really happened. Maybe because of COVID, maybe because of the managers.
It happened under Solskjaer, and then we sacked him.
Well, exactly, and then it kind of stopped where you was building him for. And like now, I don't feel like you're going to build a team around Bruno at 31 years old.
And that was my point for saying what I said. I think Bruno is a tremendous player. However, I just think for what you guys need going forward, I don't think Bruno is the guy you want to be building your team around. Let him go, get the money, and then you can use that.
That's the key thing, as well as I'd want to make sure that we secured like 100 million quid from him, especially if it's going if it's going to Saudi Arabia. I'm looking at
you're not going to get 100.
You're not going to get 100 million.
Al Hilal were offering 100 to 120 last.
That was last year.
How many years you got left on the contract?
But so I'm saying this year, like 80 to 20 million, like 80 to 100 million pounds is what I think United should be going.
But what
for.
I'm saying is, my point is,
and
I'm not denigrating him as
if we just lose him and it's for 35 mil, it's like, cool, we've just lost the most central.
Which is why you need to.
Realistically, he is Mr. Manchester United.
Which is why you need to cash in quick. So what I'm saying.
Yeah, but cashing in for a good amount of money.
Okay, cash in for a good amount of money. But what I'm saying is, I think, despite his level of talent and what he brings to United, I just think that you guys need a refresh, and I don't think the refresh comes with him still being there. You need to move on to something new, more exciting. You need a refresh because a lot of elements of that club are stale.
I think in terms of 100 mil, I think that's crazy. I think you'll probably get 60 to 70, but he's out of contract in 27, so you don't even have to sell him. You could essentially try and build around him, but as a long-term project, you're trying to lower the age, aren't you, at Manchester United a little bit?
Well, we have now. Well, it's mainly lowering the wages, but obviously when you lower the wages, you tend to go for younger players because they don't demand as much money as someone who's 27, 28, 29, for example. But I think just on United at the moment right now, there is quite an interesting thing of actually our fixture list coming up over the next couple of months actually shows quite a lot of promise. So if we've got like Brentford away. Don't
get your hopes up too high.
Well, but as I was saying before, we have had the.
Don't get your hopes up.
We've had I'll start that again. We have had statistically the hardest first 5 games of the season,
but also
and we've come out with 7 points,
Yeah.
which is not the worst.
I know what you're going to say.
Performances have been very bad, but then if you let me say it at least first, we've got fixtures like Brentford away, Sunderland at home, then we've got Liverpool, but then Brighton at home, Forest away, Spurs away, then Everton at home, Palace, West Ham, Wolves, Bournemouth, Villa, and then Newcastle, then Wolves, Leeds, Burnley, then back to City and Arsenal back to back. But in the next 2.5 months, there is actually scope, and I think this is what United are looking at, there's actually scope to genuinely build something on a set of fixtures that we should be winning 3 of every 5 at the absolute minimum.
I mean, you haven't won back-to-back games.
I know, which is why I used the word should.
Should, yes.
Not will.
But wait, your next 5 are who? Your next 5 are Brentford?
Our next 5, Brentford away, Sunderland at home, and then Liverpool away, which is a free hit, effectively. Brighton at home, Forest away.
Right. So out of that, I reckon you struggle at Brentford. Personally, I reckon you probably beat Sunderland. You won't get anything at Liverpool. There'll be no change from that. After that's Brighton at home. Loss, defo. And then who's the last
Forest
one?
away.
Draw.
So 1 win. You didn't mention Brentford. You say struggle at Brentford.
I think draw at Brentford.
So draw at Brentford, beat Sunderland, lose to Liverpool, lose to Brighton, draw to Forest.
Yeah.
So that's 5 points in 5 games.
I bet.
Personally, I'm more optimistic.
Cheeky bet.
Than that. What's my side?
I don't know. You tell me
it's just that we get more than that.
No, you go and work it out what you think.
All right. I reckon we win our next 2.
Okay.
So we beat Brentford, beat Sunderland,
lose
to
to
Liverpool,
not won back-to-back games.
Lose to Liverpool. Yeah, but I'm backing my boys. I'm backing my boys. We beat Brentford, beat Sunderland, lose to Liverpool, and then
Draw to Brighton.
Draw Brighton and Forest.
I actually conceded in both.
So that's 8 points.
So I said 7.
You said 5.
All right, let me change my Brighton one to a draw.
Brighton 1 to a draw, and then you said Forest draw as well.
Yeah.
So basically, you're saying
1, 2.
6. I'm
saying
saying
6.
8. Sure? Just a sportsman's bet?
Sportsman bet.
Sportsman bet, okay. There you go. We'll shake on that. I think we can get 8 or more, potentially.
But
I think it's possible, but I also have to factor into that the fact that Abby mentioned it, that you've not won back-to-back games since this guy's been at the club. And even though the wins you've had recently, come on now, the win against Chelsea was dictated
do you honestly
by
believe that if
circumstances.
Chelsea wouldn't have got, I know that you ended up with 10 men as well, but if Chelsea hadn't have gone down to 10 men when they did, Enzo Maresca just absolutely panic and take off everyone, do you really think that you would have won that game if it was 11v11?
No.
I did actually predict they'd win that game.
I think it wouldn't have been such an easy win, because realistically, when it was 10 versus 11, we then just scored the 2 goals, and by the time we went down to 10 men, we were just like, okay, we're just going to try and stick with this too. Because that's the obvious thing. That's why we didn't then keep going and scoring more. I know, because when people are like, okay, when it was 10v10, you then lost 1-0, but the game state was we already had 2. So that is different. And I do think we could have won that game, but obviously it wouldn't have been anywhere near as likely.
No.
I still think we could have scored twice, because Chelsea do have it in them to just concede moments and
Absolutely
have these bad
they
moments.
do.
And we still have the players to score goals. Like, we've had more shots and a higher XG than any other team in the league so far this season, which I know, stats, it's shoulda, woulda, coulda. But we just need to convert our shots. This is our main thing. I say second, it's midfield is just piss poor, and we aren't converting our shots.
True.
But
so where do you get
they are
that level of
fixable.
confidence from then?
Huh?
Hopium.
So where do you get those level of
these?
No, you've just said that your midfield, to use your words, piss poor.
Yeah, the midfield
You also
is piss
said
poor.
we're not converting any chance up front. But then you also said that you're confident you can get all those points from those games. So where's that
I say all
confidence
those
coming
points.
from?
He said 8.
I said
He said
2. I said 2 wins in 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
That is quite good for.
But that's
I said 2 wins, 2
and
draws, 1
United.
loss.
Who's going to score these goals, by the way? Because it's not going to be Sesko, is it?
Well,
Wait, it
unless-
might be.
If
If we actually pass the ball to
I was
him,
gonna say, if someone
we
gives him
actually
service.
pass the ball to our striker, he might score. Gyökeres said it yesterday. What? Let me find the.
No, don't compare Sesko.
If
No,
someone-
no,
if
no,
someone
no,
could give
because
him
we're
the
not gonna
service,
do that.
that would
I'm
be-
not
that would be
comparing
the
him.
start.
I'm just going to bring up what Gyökeres said yesterday about what creates a good striker. Gyökeres said
Service.
a lot of factors. Obviously, you have to play in a team where you create chances, get chances, and connect with the team. Then it's the desire to score goals that's really important. What's not happening for Šeško at the moment is time on the pitch. He's had 2 starts at United and then 3 substitute appearances in the Premier League. 3 of those were obviously off the bench in the second half. 190 minutes against Man City, then he came off at half-time against Chelsea. It's not exactly like he's being given all the time to score all the goals. Then, same time, we're not actually passing the ball to him.
No,
Oh,
but
the
what
striker who doesn't
Gyökeres
get the ball
said
doesn't
there,
score
I
goals.
actually do agree with. But here's the thing. If you analyse Sesko's career, this is why a lot of Arsenal fans, myself included, didn't want him. He's never been a prolific striker in terms of goals, ever. Go right back to when he played at Salzburg in Austria. He's never been prolific. I think his highest return is 13.
Yeah,
when
no,
he was at
and
Leipzig.
in that
So
in
where
that
are all
Leipzig
these
team
goals
last
coming
season,
from?
in that Leipzig team last season, for example, do you want to know where they finished in terms of crosses? Last. They made the fewest crosses in the Bundesliga that season. They're 6'5" striker, and they didn't cross to him. And also he was dropping. Amorim said it when we first signed him. Amorim said, "I want Šeško to work less." Because at Leipzig, he was running all the way back to halfway line, getting the ball, laying it off, and then trying to run again. And then you've got
Sounds like the type of thing I would say, actually. But yeah, I do
so he
agree with
wasn't-
him.
So I do think there's a certain amount, and I don't know if you guys know who HGO Harrison from The Overlap is. Very good analyst. He did a video on Šeško, and he basically went, Leipzig never ever played to his strengths because they weren't crossing the ball into him. They weren't just getting it in behind like you guys are trying to do with Gyökeres.
Yeah.
It's the guy's quick and he's good at finishing.
You want
so
the
we
ball.
just whack the ball to him. It's like how City play for Haaland. They're even now
that did
City
take
are just
time.
playing back and then going bang, 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 get it to
Yeah.
Haaland, get it running. It's what we need to start doing for Šeško, and I think it will then click for him. But not against Liverpool, that's definitely not happening. But I think
No,
it
but
can
I was just
start
making the
clicking for him.
point, though, what
And
you said
Bumo's
is...
fit, Cunha's back, and hopefully Bruno is allowed a license to play further forwards, and it can work. Which is
Needs
why I
service.
have faith in him.
Needs
Because I think it
service.
can work. Yeah, he needs a service.
Yeah, I mean, all strikers need a service, and I do agree with that. All I'm saying is, and yes, you did, articulate reasons why, but it also has to be put on the record that this guy's never been prolific anywhere he's gone. So to expect him to do that now in this Man United team is a bit of a stretch. But hey, we'll see how.
Yeah,
it
no,
goes.
I don't need him. I don't want him to. I don't need him, or I'm not expecting him to hit like 20. If he can get 15,
How much are you expecting?
12 to 15 goals in the league,
15?
I'll take that as
Wow.
happy with the return because we have
He
other
won't get
players who
15.
can score.
He won't get 50.
He won't get 50.
We never know. Like I would like. That's
He
what I
won't
would
get
like. That's what I would like and want him to get. 12 to 15.
If he
goals.
gets 10, I think he's done really well. He will not get 15, especially not in this Man United team.
Yeah, no, because we need to
'Cause your midfield is
change
so
and
poor.
work for him. Yeah. And we have the creators to do it as well, but we should actually do it. That's what I mean. Like, so for example, against Chelsea, Ahmad had the perfect chance to cross to him and messed up the cross.
I could see Mbuemo getting 15.
Yeah, no, I think Mbumo's amazing.
Great player.
I think Mbumo's incredible,
I'd
and
love
he'll not carry us, but he'll be a big reason for that.
And once you
Him
get
and
Cunha fit, I think he could do things as well. I like
Yeah,
him.
well, Cunha's back now. I think he'll start. He'll start against Brentford on the weekend, and I hope that playing Brentford, they've how many goals have they conceded? I was looking at it. It was, that is.
Where is the Brentford game? Is it at their place?
It's at their gaff.
I can't see
Where is the
it
Premier
being
League table?
there.
There we are. Brentford, 17th place, scored 6, conceded 10. So like their defence is leaking. It's an average of 2 goals a game so far. I can see us scoring against them. They're not doing it. They're scoring goals.
Yeah.
6 in 5 games, which is a better return you'd think.
Yeah.
For a team that's lost Vissa and Mbumo, who had obviously scored 19 and 20 goals last season respectively. But they're there to be got at. I think we are going to do better than struggle against them. But I mean, we'll find out.
True.
Half 12 kickoff, never back the early kickoff, all of that. But that is 6 p.m. We've made it to 6 p.m.
We have
talking
made it.
about all the different games, the Ballon d'Or reaction, talking about the games tonight, all of that. In the comments, please let us know, what do you think about what we've talked about? Are we right? Are we wrong? Who's going to win this bet between me and Abby at the moment? Are we going to get United going to get 4 points, or are they going to get 15 out of 15? Who knows? Could they get something against Liverpool?
What I would say, I was going to say earlier about this Carabao Cup, be interested to see if you guys agree with me, is for a lot of clubs, my own included, the Carabao Cup takes on a lot more significance this year. Because we're already seeing in this with the title that Liverpool already emerging as pretty strong favourites. So obviously that cuts down the opportunities to win things for other clubs. The Carabao Cup, I mean, for my own club, Arsenal, maybe some Arsenal fans might not agree with me, but we need to win that this year. We need a domestic trophy this year. And there's only 2.
Yeah, I mean,
Carabao
Arteta
Cup,
can't go
not
5
one
years,
since,
5 years and have not single piece of metal apart from
So in
runners
years
up,
gone by-
runners up that medals to.
If I speak.
Exactly. Years gone by,
Managerial.
Arsenal fans, you know what I mean, some of whom not too far removed from myself, have kind of looked down their noses at this competition. We can't afford to do that this year.
You lot can't look down your noses at anything.
No, you really can't. I mean,
Nobody can you
you're-
though, by the way. You need something, don't you? Because you're not going to win the league.
A trophy.
You're not going to win in Europe.
I don't think we need a trophy this
They
season.
need,
I know, but
they need
you-
back-to-back wins.
You need-
Yeah, we need,
Yeah.
we
What
need,
they
we need,
need.
to, we
Well,
need
what
to
I'm
win a
saying
couple
is,
games.
surely you
40
need
points.
a little run in a. Well, you're out of this competition, but in the FA Cup, you need a little run, surely, to give you some.
Yeah, for
Yes.
sure. But
Yeah.
like, for example, I wouldn't be like, the criteria for Ruben Amorim this season is you don't win that trophy or you're out.
No,
No, maybe
Ten
no.
Hag.
I'm not
show
saying
some,
that.
show
Yeah.
something consistency, win a couple games, which is mad
That's
that
a
I'm
good place
saying
to
that.
start.
Yeah, man. At
Win
least
some
win
games.
a few games before try and winning a thing.
Yeah, I guess.
But yeah, but you're gonna hope obviously tonight that there are a couple teams being knocked out. Obviously, we're Liverpool playing Southampton.
That's not bad.
Wolves and Everton. Obviously, one of them is going out. Chelsea going away to Lincoln, and Enzo Maresca seems like he's just in a permanently bad mood. Other Premier League teams, Burnley versus Cardiff, and we've said Brighton are playing Barnsley away. So there's the opportunity here, particularly for a couple of giant killings
For sure.
from these teams. As you mentioned, Cambridge League 2 going
Yeah.
to play Fulham, which you never know what could happen with
You
that game.
never know.
But I guess we'll find out at 7:45 or 8 p.m. is what all these games are on. And apart from that, I will be back here at 5 p.m. I believe you
I will be back here at 5 p.m.
back tomorrow as well. So at
So am
least
I, actually, yeah.
You doing it as well.
Ah.
There you go. Well, all three of us will be back
Back
here
together.
on DR Sports at 5 p.m. tomorrow for live at 5. As obviously here every weekday 5 p.m. to digest all the latest news, react to everything, talk about the upcoming games. We'll be talking about obviously last night's games and then the games tomorrow night coming up and anything else that may come up in the next 23 hours. But apart from that, until then, stay safe and I'll see you soon.